Power does what it wants. Power does what it wants. Power does what it wants.
Anyway, most of you guys remember me, well, a couple of you guys remember me. James Madison, that's my channel. That is Rogue Nation Audits there. We just go around and film some stuff, and I'll tell you exactly why I did it. There's a couple officers, I think, in this department that think that I just go out and harass police, but it's not that at all. I don't want to think about that. So the reason why I do it is for government accountability and respect. I had the department south of here treat me with really bad respect after I left, and it was, I'll go into that in just a minute. But educational and constitutional rights for our viewers and officers, you'd be surprised how many times I get emails from people that are just like, hey, you know, thanks for coming out here and doing this. We appreciate what you do. And you're not like those guys that typically go out there and say, fuck you pigs, fuck you cops, and do that. And that's not what I do. I don't ever want to do that. Our community, we disseminate information to our viewers. We have lawsuits for monetary and policy change, primarily policy change, but sometimes there is monetary gains in it, and that's to settle those disputes. And then sharing great officers with praise. And right up here I have, when you see this, I have the good, the bad, and the ugly. That is Corporal. What's that corporal's name down there in Titusville? The nice one. Remember that guy?
Oh no, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. But that's a corporal down there in Titusville. He was really super nice and great about it, and came up and just talked to us. The bad is Sergeant Lindley out of Melbourne. He walks up and says, "I'm going to arrest you for a felony for having that camera in your hand." Whoa. Okay. All right. That's fine. And then the ugly is that's Hutchison down there in Titusville as well. So you have the contrast between here. Hutchison got out of his car and says, I'm going to count to 3 and you're going to jail for holding a camera on a public sidewalk. The reason why I specifically do this, and I get to this next page here, is a long list of it, and some of you might remember and couldn't get involved and help me out at all, period, because there's, I think I even asked at one time, I was like, hey man, what can I do about this? So the neighboring city treated me unfairly due to an influential neighbor. The neighbor's wife worked at the city. From there, a city employee tried to get my business shut down because the neighbor kept persisting and pushing. They refused me to allow to sign charges, and stalking on that neighbor and all the elements of stalking, repeatedly following and harassing. That's it. Not aggravated stalking, just stalking. Then I was told I was under arrest by Officer Fischetti that says I was filming in my yard, said I'm going to try and sue my neighbor. I got my camera on. Matter of fact, my wife was filming. And he said, turn around, put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest for filming on my front driveway. Then I was told to arrest that. Code enforcement then, after that neighbor continued to persist and push, had code enforcement walk in my backyard, take photos behind fences, which is an unlawful search, no matter which government agency does it, police or code enforcement. Then after that, the neighbor says he's going to throw a mortar in my driveway or in my house, and my kids are in there with me. So I called the police. I had my firearm on me. They disarmed me in my front yard. The video on there, the officer lied and says, I couldn't hear you because of traffic. Then 2 seconds later, they left me with the gun on the ground and walked over to the neighbor. So I'm like, what are these guys doing? I grabbed my gun, put it inside the house. I had a felony stop conducted on me while I was working here. I had given my police ID. I have my off-duty firearm on me here, and I handed it to them. Next thing I know, they're on the PA, ordering me out of the car, hands up, put your hands behind your back. I'm doing this. I handed them both things, the police ID and my driver's license. I don't know. Then I had about $80,000 to $90,000 in vehicles damaged by the city's contractor. The city didn't want to touch it. They didn't have to do anything. I had to hire an attorney and get all that. They even damaged my driveway, and then I tried to get out there and do stuff to try and get that rectified and settle the dispute. I have other events that I have an NDA on with cities around here that came about. That's why I did it. It was nothing to come out here and say the police are bad or anything like that. That's the short of it. Some of you may know a little bit more of it, but that is what caused me to go out there and want to hold a camera when Officer Fischetti sat there and said, I'm going to take you to jail for filming in my driveway. So if they're doing that to me, and I have a little bit of backbone to stand up to, what are they doing to the people that don't have a backbone? Some of the good stuff that came about with Titusville, and the reason why I was down there is Titusville was issuing citations for electric scooters. There's a House Bill 435 that lets people ride electric scooters, mobility scooters like the Segways, around. And Titusville was continuing to write citations over and over and over again, so I'm still working with them to refund the citations that they wrote post this House Bill 435. So it's little things like that came about that I found, and now it's snowballed into, I don't know, 15 to 20 emails. What do you get? You get a bunch of emails about that a day.
Absolutely.
And then lastly, why am I talking to you guys as police? Police are often the go-first for everything. Civil, criminal, petty, even locking parks, as I remember having to do here all the time. You have to do everything. Yeah, now you have what, gates and stuff?
No.
Traffic enforcement, citizens call you for people filming in public. Just yesterday, myself, this gentleman here, and another guy, Jeff, that was down there, were holding signs that says, "God bless the homeless." People were walking and driving by us and saying, "Get the fuck out of here. Fuck you, get a job." It's just a simple thing. Police didn't come and respond, which thankfully, because all we were trying to do is just spread the spirit, and that's how Mr. Gray does it. So.
And I'll be honest with you, Mark, since you brought that up about holding signs, now it seems like in today's society, especially this year, because of all the protests and stuff, it's almost like society has recognized that that's just what people do now. They protest, but you may not even be protesting. You're just saying, "Hey, God bless everybody in the world." It doesn't matter. They look at you as, "Oh, he's a protester. He's got to speak his voice," and that's the way I think.
Yeah.
And that's why their public maybe doesn't call like they used to. Like when you work for us, we got called for everything, for parking, exactly, you name it. And that's some of that change. It's a culture change. And I think that's the same thing that's happened here. Is and I'm gonna talk too much, but anyway.
Yeah.
But one of the things I've noticed is that from the times past when you worked here, we run that whole iron fist. You're going to do this and you're going to do that, and you can't have an open mind.
Sure.
And that has changed. It is changing a lot because the newer officers that are coming up through the ranks, they're more open-minded. They're from that generation that it's a little bit more accepted. You see the guys wearing beards. I could tell you, and that you would never have worn a beard if it was the time when you worked here with the Gary Whites and the Bill Halls, and some of that old regime is still out there. But they're slowly, it's slowly on the line.
And that's the same thing that. And then that's the same thing. Well, sorry. They'll pass along. Yeah. Someone died. Or something did. And that's the same thing. The reason why I'm here is because those people that think we're just protesting, well, we're just out there documenting stuff. Like I said, you'll never hear me. There was one incident that occurred where I told the officer, he wanted something from me, and I said, "No, fuck you. The way you treated me just then." And that was it. And it was well deserved, I think, when that came about. Other police call you for, even other police call for filming in public, and you guys are the most responsive to any call for service. And so these are the events that led, I'll zip down here, sorry, I'm doing all this half-ass here, but these are the events that to have me out there, and the reason why I did this, and that's the ultimate reason why. And after that, it just won't stop. Even after I said, "Leave me alone," I had an attorney send the city of Port Orange a cease and desist for what they were doing and stopping all that, and they still kept on going. I mean, it just was. And then it's like, they're more powerful than I am. But I'm going to say that I have more vigor, and I'm going to keep digging at it, because when they say you can't fight City Hall, I don't want to be that. I want to fight City Hall when they're doing what they were doing to me, and that was it. So every day it's a new event in the cities, and the same thing happened to me in my personal life continue to show itself in other departments. There's probably a reason why no one's ever been here did, except for maybe one time, and it was very quick and subtle. But no one's ever been here filming you guys, I don't think. No one's
Okay. We had a group that we used to dress up, and it only happened here once or twice, but I see it here happening over on the west side much more often. There was a group that would dress up in Halloween costume, like a pig outfit, or you know what I'm talking about? And they would go up and they would show up and ask for like crazy stuff and then run out the door. It was like
that's weird.
And they were videoing it, but that was now.
Yeah.
Who knows? As well that there are some people out there that maybe it doesn't sound like you're right there. Yeah. So that's the problem. That's the world we live in. So
and specifically when I spoke to an officer unnamed here, I said the gentleman said that all you do is harass police, and it's not that at all. I just go out there and document. I mean, yes, it may feel harassing to you guys when it's happening, when anybody's filming, but the change that took place in my own personal life that caused this is the reason why that I just won't stop it, because it just shows and shows. And we've uncovered so much crazy stuff in departments. Even one of them, one of the motor officers is like, "Hey man, I got a call from one of these officers over here." I was like, "Yeah, I got a bad feeling about him." The next week he's charged with fraud for doing something with a power of attorney, and I'm like, something was off. So on my last part, I'm giving him. Do I hate police? No, I don't. You guys are a vital part of society. Everybody needs you. I mean, as simple as that. I need you guys periodically, and people that are less than fortunate need you, that can't fend for themselves. And with you guys assist in many roles who are less fortunate and handle themselves. As a whole, there are more good people in the society. I mean, period. There's more good people than there are bad people. Even if you say it's 1% out of 300 million, that's what, 30,000 people in this whole United States that are really bad. And then 1% of that is even worse. But I'm trying to get it to where people don't think that I'm hateful. And like I said, you'll never hear me say I'm fucking big and this and that on any of those. Now, there's bad people that film and don't go out there and document themselves getting public records. And they'll go out there and just flat out tell you, like, give me the fucking record, or I'm going to send everybody from my YouTube channel and come get you. I mean, they're just that way. But anyway, that's true for every walk of life. There's bad people in every walk of life. It doesn't matter where you're at. So, and this is this gentleman here. This is Rogue Nation. He's going to come in and tell about him, and I think we'll keep an eye on this happen.
And I'll go along with James, or excuse me, Mark, and I call him by his channel name, and tell you why I started doing Rogue Nation audits. And one of the cases was Dozer School for Boys. And if you're familiar with the case up in Marianna, Florida, the boys' prison that was operated for about 100 years. Heinous crimes occurred over multiple years. No prosecutions were ever.
Is that the White House?
Yep, the White House boys, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it went on for a good 20, 30 years up there. And this is a state-run facility operated by state employees, overseen by other state employees. So if something like this can happen, then there's an obvious need for somebody other than the state to watch over the state in order to make sure that this doesn't happen again. I'm respectful. If anybody's ever seen any of my videos, I just go out, I try to stay quiet, I just document what's going on. The essence of the right to free press is the right to watch over our government. As you know, when the country was founded, there was no Kim Kardashian, New York Giants, Loch Ness Monster, none of that stuff mattered. People were writing about what the government was doing so that the other citizens could make informed decisions about who was, taking care of matters in their name with their money, because that's what the government does, is it makes decisions for us, and it does it in our name with our money. So, if our government's a terrorist government like North Korea or something, those people are associated with it because they allow that to happen. So the same thing goes here with our government. So that's one of the reasons why I started doing it. Another reason, a big reason, is public pensions. Your guys' pension funds, teachers' pension funds, they're underfunded. And they're underfunded because our government likes to mess around with money. And, sometimes they like to take a little bit out of the till here and a little bit out of the till there. There was a heart-wrenching story that I read about a gentleman, I believe he was in Alabama. He worked as a fire chief. He was a fire chief for 30 years. And the city had mismanaged their money, and his pension was cut, and the gentleman ended up freezing to death in his apartment because he couldn't afford heat. Now, this is a man that had worked for his city for 30 years, So when I go out to look at government, I don't go out to look at one certain person per se 99% of the time. I go out there just like a law enforcement officer would leave a car parked on the road with no one in it. It's not going to catch any speeders at all, but it will slow the speeders down, and that's pretty much what I'm doing. I don't expect to go out there and catch somebody, stealing money out of the till and putting it in their pocket, but I do expect of them to say, hey, somebody else is watching me that is an objective record, that doesn't work for my boss and will use this as blackmail in order to, win the next election, or however they do, government. That this is somebody that will take this and bring it to the people and let the people decide.
This is about that one.
Oh, okay, and even like those there's still events happening like that today, like Glen Haven up there by Panama City Beach, and the Kids for Cash judge that were putting the kids in juvenile detention center for kickbacks. Mm-hmm. So stuff like this, I know everybody sees the news, it happens every day, and a lot of times with normalcy bias, if it's not happening here in our own community, we think it doesn't happen, but it does. And like James said, I get emails all the time from people in government and police departments. I'm talking to one gentleman now that said that the superiors at his department were using chapter, I believe it is 112, and no talking about an investigation while it's occurring. They're using that against the younger officers while the established, command are talking about investigations and not following the same statutes. So,
Right, it's good for one, should be good for all type thing.
right, and that, I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer if you break the law, then you do the time. If I break the law, I want to be held accountable, and I want everybody to be held accountable, because that's what makes America great. It's made up of laws that everybody should abide by, and I think that would help us all out, because if not, what you get is you get a divide. You get people that obey the law or if not, get punished, and then they see maybe somewhere that other people have broken the law and have not been punished for it. Like Dozier School for Boys, no prosecutions, like 80 kids died there. I mean, this is a horrendous crime. This is a serial killing, on the likes of Gacy and such. So this is important to me. So that's why I go out there and do it. Some of the things that are, will come into contact, if you see people like me, is trespassing. A lot of times we'll be on public property, and the people there, they won't like it. They'll be uncomfortable. They're not sure maybe what we're doing with the video, or they'll maybe even think it's a security risk. But unfortunately, in America with public property, we all pay money for that. And so the ruling is that if the public can access it, so can the press. There's no restrictions on what the press needs as far as press pass, or if I have to have a notepad and pen, or an audio recorder or video recorder. There's no restriction on the tools that I could use as a journalist. And even though they feel uncomfortable about it, if I'm on public property and I'm not breaking the law, they really have no authority to ask me to leave. It'd be the same thing if I'm, standing in a park, smelling the flowers. There's no legal authority for someone to remove me from that property, because it's partially mine, partially yours and partially everybody. So, but a lot of times, it's happened here in Florida a lot to me. They'll try to give me a trespassing warning. Now, when they try to give me a trespassing warning, a lot of times they'll detain me, and they'll try to force me to give ID in order to write the trespassing warning. And that's actually illegal in the state of Florida under Jesowitz versus State. So it's something that, if you're not familiar with it, can turn into an easy claim. Unfortunately, for a long time, little claims like this aren't prosecuted by attorneys. They won't take the cases, and citizens are left to file pro se. And they haven't been able to do that. They're unfamiliar with the terminology and how to file the paperwork and stuff like that. But I myself am actually moving to put up videos on the process that I've gone through in order to do this. So, just as a forewarning, there are people now that are going to be out there watching my videos, learning that, stuff like a detainment without reasonable suspicion is an actionable claim. If they have a camera and they, notify it's for a First Amendment protected activity, that pretty much, you'd be hard pressed to use qualified immunity against the First Amendment right to free press. It's probably the most well-known and established right we have in America. So, State versus Colby, there was a gentleman that was requesting public records, and he was an obnoxious ass. But the court stated that even an obnoxious asshole has rights, so he still has the rights to those records. You can't toss him out of City Hall because he's an asshole,
It's not a state law yet, right?
Yeah,
That's not allowed.
Yeah.
I know.
So,
I'll be honest with you, and just, openly the discussion, some of the things now that goes on that I think that worries law enforcement, or, even our guys, to some extent, is, you hear what goes on over in Washington and Oregon, and these free zones. You've got, these people that are, let's just face it, they're way out in left field sometimes. So, of course, thinking, when they came up with the defund the police and, the Black Lives Matter, all this turmoil that's going on, and so it's just all put in one big pot. And so like when I was talking to the guys, when you guys were ready to come and talk, I said, listen to everybody has a view or an opinion about something and what they believe in. I says, listen to what everybody has, and then we can categorize them if that's what you want to do. But at the end of the day, it's what is their mission? What's their goal? Because we all have one. I mean, our mission is to serve the public, do the best we can, and try to do it the right way without hurting anybody. At the same token, and not abusing people. Because I can say there's not a guy that's in this department, including myself, by any means that want to harm or hurt anybody, no matter who you are. We really are here to serve and help you. But at the end of the day, we still get worried that we're going to be attacked as well, like anybody else. So that's why I think the guard goes up. And then in some of these other cities where our federal agencies, I've noticed as being a chief now, there's some guys that still carry their ego with them. I think part of that is their ego. You're not really stepping on them. They feel like you're stepping on them as a person, not the department. You know what I'm saying? That time. So you've got to kind of contend with all that.
Absolutely. And a lot of times when we go into public buildings, sometimes it's not the public employees or the police that give us the problem, but an actual citizen. And a lot of times you're under this myth that you can't record someone without their permission. And even though we go to Walmart every day and we see people driving by with dash cams and there's city cams, and there's no expectation of privacy in public, and we see that every day. So but it doesn't sink in when maybe I have a camera, whether then it's the 50 cameras that they've walked through in front of today.
Right.
So and that leaves a little bit to it. But for people doing what we do, and when we're talking about the amendments, there's an easy way to decipher a sovereign citizen from someone like me or Mark here, and that is the fact that they don't believe in the law. They don't believe in the Constitution. They don't believe in the amendments. They believe they're above the law and that sort of thing. But when you come across us and we're filming, they say, well, we're doing a First Amendment protected activity. I'm a constitutionalist. I think that freedom is great and freedom is good, and we should all have freedom, and we should all be bound by the law. That's pretty much my whole premise. I don't go out, like people say, to harass people. I try to stay calm. I just go out to exercise my rights. And I tell people it's no different than if you have the right to open carry a gun. And you're allowed to go here and you're allowed to go there when you open carry a gun. You don't want people coming up, hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And harass you, got ID, and stuff like that. I just want to be able to exercise my right without harassment. And sure, on YouTube and stuff, that doesn't make me money and stuff, but I'm not a commercialistic guy or consumeristic guy. Worked 43 years before YouTube even came into my field of vision, and taking care of wife and 2 kids and stuff. So it's never been about that. It's just about, like I said, making sure everybody's doing things properly and being able to exercise my rights. Because, my daughter, she's on, I don't know if you guys got kids, but they got the Musical.ly stuff now and all that other stuff. So I don't want my daughter walking through a public area, making Musical.ly and having some citizen or some security guard or public official coming up and harassing her, taking her phone, or calling the cops on her, and her having to explain all that kind of stuff. So as usual, we fight for rights not just for ourselves, but usually for the people underneath us, or our kids and stuff like that. So
that's exactly what I just did it for, because of what happened with the city down there. I was going to touch on this, like the trespass warning. This happens so much where I'll attempt to get force ID when you're like, hey, the owner doesn't want you here, you got to leave, and do a trespass warning. Well, at that time, there's no crime that's been committed, so you can't do force ID on 901 statute, and that's where a lot of people do it. I gave a policy about Orlando's, I think it was, and everything has to be consensual up until then, but a lot of officers will just be like, put you in handcuffs and get your ID, dig in your wallet, and write your trespass warning. You just can't. But the good thing is when you jump up there, you got Jesuits on there about those there, but I'm going to jump back over here to South Daytona ordinance. So South Daytona has an ordinance. It's really cool. I was excited when I saw it. Trespassing on public property, you guys have it spelled out perfectly. I'm talking about perfectly, without anything about it. If I'm out here and I'm just holding someone that says, Chief sucks here, or whatever the case may be. You know, you can hold the sign. You can hold the sign. But that's not the part of it right there. This spells it out perfectly, but when I flip to this next page of it, it says right here, the city manager may authorize an individual who has received a trespass warning to enter the property or premises to exercise his or her First Amendment right if there is no other reasonable alternative location. And that's what's cool about the one in here in South Daytona, because if you trespass me from whatever park it is, Riverfront Park, because I was out there after hours, and I say, hey, I want to go down there and protest about the fishermen out there, the city will allow it to happen. And that's really neat, because there's not many, I don't think there's any other cities that have that written like that. So.
But, you know, again, it's my daughters.
Yeah.
They're eventually going to watch my videos, you know, and I want to get something out of my videos besides, my dad was an asshole, you know? Like, he didn't offer any kind of intelligent, you know, conversation or anything. He just went right to being an idiot, you know, and that's not acceptable, and it shouldn't be acceptable for anybody. But, and I tell people this because a lot of times people ask me, well, do you support these people that do this? And I say this, is that if someone is exercising their right in a legal manner, okay, it might not be a manner that I approve of. But I can't be a hypocrite and say that he can't exercise his right like that. And I'll bring up Westboro Baptist Church. I don't think there's many Americans in America that would say that they support Westboro Baptist Church, but we still have to support their right, you know, because when we start disallowing their right, then pretty soon people will start disallowing our right, you know. It's not, protection of rights isn't the rights we approve of, you know, but it's the rights that we don't approve of that need protected.
And on this one here, we didn't invent filming of the government or drama or anything like this. This is all the drama shows, and these are all the live PD shows that you watch on TV that we all come about. And actually, I think, Cheatham, when I was working over on Beachside with you, we pedaled our butts off one time out to this car, and it was this weird situation. The Shores had like 5 people out of the car, and they searched it, couldn't find anything. I said, you mind if I search it for a little bit? And they're like, yeah, go ahead, there's nothing in it. I walk over there and find a gun.
Under the hood of the car and
the air box.
Breather box.
And he goes, where'd you learn that at? I was like, you don't watch Cops? I mean, that's exactly what it was.
I did, and I'm going to tell you, that was the funniest thing, because nobody there, not a single soul there, could believe what he did. And I think that even shocked Mark when he was over there, because we looked under the hood and he goes, I seen a show where the gun was hidden in the breather, because we knew something was wrong. They were just really antsy, and they had that, you know, that demeanor that they're up to no good. And they pull a stolen handgun out of Orlando.
Or Jacksonville, and it turned out to be used in some robberies or something.
Yeah, it was in the breather box under the hood, and it was pretty impressive. I was even like, we talked about it for a couple of days. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, so the reason why I bring that up is because, you know, watching these silly TV shows, we've all watched them, and you're like, God, that guy just violated that guy's rights like crazy. You've all said that, I've said it, we've watched it. But watching some of our videos and learning that, you'll get in, there's some training stuff that can just come about. Just even, what I'm doing right now is officer safety. It's a really scary thing, because we've all been in that situation with officer safety. I don't intentionally walk behind cars, but there were, like last night, there was a car that I'm filming, where was I? In Lady Lake. I was filming in an FTO, he was back in the car, he was in training backing up, and I was talking about, I was like, oh, this guy must be new, this and this. So I walked to the back of the car, I was going to talk to him, like, hey man, good parking job, and, you know, jokingly like that. And I was at the back of his trunk there, and he didn't notice me at all. And he just walked right away and did nothing. Both of them did. So I put that out there for officer safety, and I even, on my video that's coming out, I was like, when you get out of your car, just sweep around and do a 360. That's all you need to do. I mean, you guys know how to train yourselves and do that. But after that, I sat with Officer Orr, a really nice female officer over there in Lady Lake, and it was in response to people telling me to go over there because they had problems. And I sat with this officer there for 40 minutes. We talked about everything. I said, you're going to be able to find out who I am for all this talking. You know, I showed her a tattoo on my arm. I showed her everything. She's like, I had a really cool conversation with you. This is really nice. Thank you for talking with me. There's 40 minutes of sitting with this officer and talking to her. And she was, you know, just it was a really good positive response. And she's like, I'm going to get your videos and watch them. And sure enough, I walked back to the PD over there, and she's like, I've actually seen some of your videos. And I was like, yeah, you offer some really good information. So that's pretty much, I think that's all we got. You guys got the policy there. But I just wanted to dispel that belief, because there's a lot of people that sit here and think that I hate the police, and when I ask for a record or something like that, it's just because I've gone through something. I really have. And if you haven't gone through something like I have, it was a period of 2 years. I mean, you'll change your mind on how you feel about not the police department as a whole, but acute incidents that occur like that. And I'm talking about, it was the worst time of my life for 2.5 years while my babies were growing up, because of the neighbor that had the influential stuff. And like I said, it's just something that I do now. Like, he likes to not necessarily be able to go out there and target and hit something that's going to catch someone putting money in their pocket. But when they don't know if James Madison Audits is sitting there just watching, not saying you're going to do anything bad, but then when I go and do a public records request, they might fulfill it faster than they did. I just went to the state attorney's office. I've never had a public records request filled so fast. Asked for how many cases and how many attorneys are on board. 24 attorneys and 2,000 cases active. That's a lot. So they're over. This is Seminole County. And I got that in like 15 minutes. And they're like, yeah, thank you so much. And that was it. But last portion of it is we all hate more laws like that. The more laws you have, there are more laws that you can count. Just like that jokingly says it's a big statute book. I bet I can find something when you're driving. And that's that. So. But yeah, I guess any questions you guys have? We don't really answer questions, but no, that's good. You can.
I appreciate you guys coming in and then talking about it. Like I said, at the end of the day, like I was telling you, that everybody kind of groups all the organizations in this as one of the reality. There's not.
Everybody.